Good evening. This is Brielle. As promised, I'm making another video using a new tarot spread that I designed, which I like to call Spring Cleaning or the Broom. I don't know if you'd be able to see it because for some reason it came out a little pale this time. But the design features 6 cards in the shape of a broom, and this reading is going to show how we could clean away our negative energy. It was just Ostara, and it's the beginning of spring. And a lot of times people are familiar with the term spring cleaning. And at this time of year, it's a good time to sweep away the negative energy and give rise to new growth as things begin to grow in the springtime. Now, if you've listened to some of my other videos, you know that I deal with the negative and the positive, the light and the darkness. Sometimes in our life, we have to balance things, and sometimes we can get too much negative energy. For some people, it could lead to depression, and it could bog them down. Well, we're going to use my tarot deck and myself as an oracle to show how we could reach a little more equilibrium. If you've seen some of my previous readings, you know sometimes I've chosen to do readings for fictional characters. I've done a reading for Joe Biden, the President of the United States. I'm going to go a different route tonight, and I'm going to do a reading for Elvis Presley, even though he is deceased. You see, in my world, time is a bit of an illusion. Sometimes I remember tomorrow before it happens. Sometimes I dream of things before they happen. So, even though it's not here now, I'd like you to travel with me to time travel. Imagine a young Elvis Presley, perhaps during his first year of fame. He's still a little bit unsure of himself. And a lot of people don't know, but Elvis was very interested in the occult. And let's say he came to see a tarot reader, I don't consider myself a fortune teller, but the sign may have said psychic or fortune teller in a little hut. And let's imagine Elvis was able to get away from the crowds for a few moments and sort someone like me out. Well, I'm also presenting a new deck of cards that I've just received, the Welcome to Night Vale tarot card deck based on the Welcome to Night Vale podcast. I'm not endorsing it, and I am not paid to say anything about it, nor do the creators even know I'm using their cards. However, I really like their podcast, and I'll talk about that later on another, perhaps, video we do. But the reason I'm talking about it is these cards, some of the images could look very, very negative or grim or macabre or scary. Now, the reason I'm presenting this for a reading that deals with sweeping away our negativity is so many times we don't confront our unconscious. We don't confront those darker things. And sometimes to deal with those negative issues, first you must look them straight in the eye. Perhaps that shadow you see on the wall that looks like a hand coming to get you. When you look at it close in the light, you realize that it's just a branch of the beautiful tree with the beautiful leaves you see in the daytime. But sometimes in the night, when the wind is blowing and you see a shadow, it could scare you. That's what this reading is all about. So, let us proceed. Enough of my yammering. And I'm going to lay out these cards for a reading for Elvis Presley. And we're going to see how in his first year he might have dealt with some of his self-doubt or some of the negative emotions he has. Because even in the best of times, only we can know ourselves. And sometimes even the happiest people and the most prosperous people can be very, very emotionally disturbed. And we know this. So let's see what advice we could have for Elvis Presley. As we lay out these cards. And this is a 6-card spread. This is a new deck. I haven't used it a lot. I'm very excited about it. So, here's how we have them laid out in the shape of a broom. If you look at me, because sometimes I forget what direction I'm actually putting. Leave that as it is. Okay, now here is how it's laid out, and this is called the Welcome to Night Vale. I think it's no, I'll get back to that. There's actually 2 Welcome to Night Vale decks. I really like the art on this one. My wife has the other deck that has darker colored imagery. Okay, so as we begin, we're going to ask the question to Elvis, or for Elvis, what negative energy comes from the outside? You could imagine a big celebrity would deal with a lot of things from the outside. And the first card that came up was the Page of Cups. And what I'm seeing here, I'll show you this again. What I'm seeing for this Page of Cups is people may try to dissuade or talk Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, so it is said. They may try to talk him out of his money. Someone may try to get him to invest in something that may not be so good for him, or to do something perhaps that is not in his best benefit. So people are going to try to talk Elvis into doing things perhaps he would be better off not doing. Now, of course, how many people do that? It's a very common scenario. And the next one is for the second card in the broom. I have, what negative energy comes from the inside? A lot of times we take the burdens, the pain, the lessons, and the punishments from our parents, our relatives, teachers, people in our lives, and we just bury them inside. We take the good, the bad, and sometimes they become a part of us so deeply that we don't know where these feelings are coming from. sometimes people have to go through regression therapy to even get to the root of what's causing them trauma. However, on the inside, remember this is his first year when he became popular. He was just getting his big taste of the limelight. And what I'm seeing is the Knight of Pentacles. Pretty macabre scene. You could even see her intestines, but inside, which is kind of funny because I asked a question about what negativity is coming from inside. And it seems like perhaps earlier in his life he felt caged. He was not allowed to grow as he wanted to, which of course I don't know much about Elvis, but it's probably why he embraced the limelight so much and became the big star he was, because a part of him was repressed in some time and he was not allowed to speak as he wished to. And now you see this outpouring. So, his negativity is the fact that he had to keep so much inside. So, now he's probably going to try to find a way to let it out. Next part is, what could protect us from being overwhelmed from too much negativity? Oh, what an interest. We're getting a lot of the court cards today. Lots of people in his life. The Queen of Pentacles. Now, of course, you know the queens are concerning emotion. No, excuse me, my brain got twisted. The pentacles deal with earthy things, which is interesting. She's looking into a dark mirror. So, what could protect us? I believe Elvis would be protected if he went with his gut feelings, if he didn't second guess himself. There's a dark mirror which we could associate with the unconsciousness, which is what a lot of the negative, the dark side of us is all about. Now, what could have protect Elvis from his negativity from the inside and the outside, from overwhelming him, is to really, really see it for what it is. He would need to really take a look at what's inside. Because sometimes in life we can just pour it out into the world, but do we even know what we're giving them? Do we even understand what we are unleashing? Now, what allies can help us move what has been cluttering our lives, keeping with the theme of spring cleaning? So, we're going to talk about the allies that Elvis could have. The Three of Swords. Now, I've seen other decks where the Three of Swords cross like 1, 2, with 1 in the middle. Another pretty grisly theme here. And 3 is for emphasis. And I usually associate this particular card, I'll show you again because it's so interesting. I associate this card with sorrow. In this reading so far, I'm going to say that in a grieving state, perhaps Elvis was down and somebody came to his aid. Somebody came to assist him in a dark moment. And I believe what this is trying to say is don't fret, because when you're down, when you are grieving, if you show your feelings of grief to the right person and truly let them know what's really going on, they will come to your aid because they will see the purity of your heart and be touched by it and become a good ally to you. Now, the next one I have is, what tools can help us sweep away the dirt? Another interesting one. The Four of Cups. Another dealing with emotion. You look, 3 cups are on the ground and 1 is on his head. And I would say what tools can we use? Well, I believe a tool that Elvis would be able to use at this time would be to turn his emotions into something positive. So the very negativity that he would want to sweep away, use it. A lot of times as an artist, I use a lot of my pain for my images, and I'm sure that as an artist himself, Elvis probably used his tears. A lot of times I would say I'm painting with my own blood. So the tool you could use is take that darkness, take that sadness, take that grief, and make it into something beautiful. Let those tears be the rain that waters new flowers to grow. And the last one in this spread. What lessons can balancing ourselves teach us through this process, this sweeping and clearing away, this balancing? What lessons can we learn? And for this one, what would Elvis learn? Another interesting and beautiful card in the Night Bell, the 10 of Pentacles. And usually the 10s are the culmination of that particular suit. And I'm looking at this one, and now if you notice, there's holes and plants growing through here, and growth has been a big theme of this particular reading. So I think the lesson from clearing away some of this negativity would be to not clear it all away. If you notice, there's the darkness and the growth together. So a lot of times when a person is trying to clear away the negative. They want to clear away all the negative. A lot of times, someone might try to be just a bright, shining light, bring in complete joy and positivity and happiness. But from my own experiences, I have found that a lot of times you could become fanatical and it becomes not authentic. You become a mask of light, but behind it, the sadness still remains unless you confront it and you speak to it and you make it part of you and you understand it. And if you notice here, there's a figure in the distance and you see the growth of the light and the darkness together. Now, somewhere in the center, between the light and the darkness, there is the authentic self. So, don't try to be too far on one side of the door or the other, because then you won't be complete. Whether you're wearing a mask of light or a mask of darkness, it's still a mask. And I believe that somewhere in his journey, and despite what we know was Elvis's tragic end, I believe that perhaps he had a few moments where he completely knew himself, which is something that some people don't even do in a lifetime, or many lifetimes in my opinion. And this is telling me that at some point he looked in the mirror and he truly had complete selfness and said, "This is who I am." Now, in life, sometimes that doesn't last. Sometimes it's only a moment in your life, but it is the most important moment you could have. And if Elvis truly had a moment like this and did learn his lesson, he is truly blessed. And of course, in my opinion, not everyone likes his music, but I believe we are blessed for his musical talent because I rather like it. Well, anyway, that is the spread for this. And I turned it around so I could see it better. But, well, this is how I would be saying it. This is the way the spread looks completely. Very pretty. And I hope that this spring, that not only will you have a clean house doing spring cleaning if you do, these days it's so hard to find the time, isn't it? But I hope that you find balance and this season will bring you new growth. Blessings to you.